a silly thing on my part. Right, I'm going to pop out the live chat because I have this thing, right? If you're not able to respond to people's questions, is it really a live chat? You know, and I'm not seeing any come through, but I still want to be available there just in case.
Yeah.
Right? There we go. So I got this one coming up. And it looks like Diogo's on there. That's one person, so that's a win. That's a start.
Thank you for showing.
Right, so introduce us to your fine self, Seamus. What have you been up to? Where are you working at?
Well, I think fine self is a bit of a stretch, but I'm Seamus Og. I'm from a little place, Blahy, over here in the north. Worked in Belfast for a handful of years. Took on a bar up in the north coast, up by the seaside, and me and Mrs. Jones poured steward for another couple. And I'm now back in Belfast, working with Cocktail Keg Company as a brand rep and doing a little bit of bartending, sort of moonlighting on the side, because how could you ever step out of it into a 9 to 5?
It's impossible, right? It's just like once you've had a taste of that life. Sorry, I'm not sure if there's a lag, but the Cocktail Keg Company, tell me about that. How does it work?
All right, so it was basically founded like 2018. You have Anthony Farrell Soda, pretty well known name in the drink circle, and a guy Burnsy. They always did events and stuff. Two of them got together, created a bar, 4 years blacklist in Belfast, and they're sort of ahead of the times with like a draft cocktail system. Mm-hmm. And basically that turned into their baby, and it became a thing where they provide bars, off licenses, weddings, events, parties all across the country. And actually, we've actually been all over Europe this year with their products. Pretty cool. I've got one of the things here. So I know you had a Tipperary with Chris Power.
Yeah.
Personal favorite drink of mine. So
very nice.
Cool. Yeah.
It was awesome.
Back into that later.
So you managed to watch the Chris stream?
Yeah, I did, of course. I know Chris pretty well, so had to tune in for that one. Like.
What did he say afterwards? Was he like, "Don't do it, mate, run away"?
I made a point of not asking him for advice afterwards. I watched Chris at his dad, cut it, and I'll speak to him after I've done mine.
You're wise beyond your years, man. So the Cocktail Keg Company, are you delivering kegs of cocktail to people with taps or?
Yes, so we run through draft systems, same as lager, working with 20-litre kegs, do different events. There's a lot of bars have us as their mainstays in the menu. We're some of the sort of biggest names bars around Belfast and that. Just again today, I've got more bars in England sort of ringing and inquiring. I'm so fucking jealous for that right now.
Oh,
I hate you a little bit.
It's been my lifeline to a life I used to live. You know, like. It's nice. The weather's not so bad here, and we've got a nice garden and stuff like that. But I'm the first lockdown. I nearly lost my mind.
Did I read that you're from Dundalk originally?
Yeah. I'm from Dundalk. I lost the accent. I practiced losing my accent. So when I first went to Australia, I didn't fit in very well. I got expelled from a couple of schools. You could say for rebelling against people trying to make me fit in with their fists, if that makes sense. It was all self-defense on my part, but like, you know, when your first couple of years of school were Dundalk, and then you go to like a sleepy little town in Australia, like, you know, I guess I made a point of my retribution when I got picked on, and then I thought I'm gonna fit in here. And I practiced sounding more Australian, which it never worked out. Once I started to sound Australian, I just realized I just didn't think Australian, if that makes sense.
There's not an ounce of Dundalk left in the voice.
No. But I mean, if we go to Dundalk, I can show you around, if that helps.
My housemate's actually from there.
Your housemate's from Dundalk?
Yes, and she makes me the most amazing dinners every night, so I would nearly say that she's the best thing to come out of Dundalk since Harp.
Oh, right, nice. Beer reference. Yeah. It's funny because none of my family that I know of drink Harp. Is it still made there? Are they still making it?
I think they've stopped brewing it there. It's moved to Dublin now. If anybody's listening, I could be entirely wrong. I'm sorry. But yeah, like all the old retro sort of Harp T-shirts and stuff is just like all.
Well, if she's there later tonight, tell her that I worked. I don't know how old she is, but like I'm assuming she's of drinking age. What's that?
Yeah, 24, 25.
Okay. Well, some of the bars might have closed, but I worked in both the Windsor, which is the pub across from the big shopping centre, and I also worked at Ridley's.
I think I've heard of Ridley's.
Yeah, and I used to work at a place called Bar 58X, but that closed.
Nothing to do with yourself.
What's that?
Nothing to do with yourself.
No. Honestly, like I had some of the best times of my life in this bar 58X because it was like 99 or 2000. It was just before the pound left, right? So I was working in bars when people were like, "Oh, what's this funny money?" When the euro came in, and the tips, they would just give you every bit of change they had. It could be €5. And you know yourself, like that's more than a pint of Guinness costs in the first place. Yeah, but you're giving them change, and they're just like, meh, whatever.
You remember that one?
And I cleaned up. It was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. But Bar 58X, they used to have this. They used to have this evening. I think it was on Thursday night, and it was free till you pee. Right? So it was a student night, and there was line up out the door. I'll never forget this. I don't know how many times they did it, but it was one of the best nights because everyone's standing outside, right? And it's cold, and they're waiting to get in, and the line's been there for a while. So already they've had a few drinks. They've been on the pre-lash. They're going out. They've got a few drinks in their system. They're students, I mean, they haven't got that much drinking experience. And that, that's not to say anything against them, but like they're already holding it. And then you open the door, and from the moment you open the door, as soon as someone goes to the toilet, that's the end of free drinks, right? And obviously the service is terrible for those first like 35, 40 hour. But one night, a young girl went straight to the toilet. And that was it. They obviously, you're not gonna tell everyone 5 minutes in that they're not getting their first couple of free drinks in Dundalk. Yeah. It would have been a riot.
But what I'm struggling to grasp here is how were you guys checking who had and who hadn't paid? Like it's
the toilet. Like so, as soon as someone goes into the toilet, no, I'm pretty sure
you're like stamping or marking a wristband or something in the bathroom.
No. I mean,
just somebody watching who's doing the best.
When one person goes to the toilet, the free drinks ends.
Oh, for everybody. Shit.
For everybody. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's how it worked. I was behind the bar. I just remember a girl went to the toilet and there was a kick up and everyone was like, that can't be, it's not fair. It's not been enough time. And, I was like, wow, Is that what just happened? Yeah, someone didn't read the memo, or they really needed to go. But you wouldn't enter the building knowing you need to go to the toilet, like you'd go, right, there were like 5 other bars around the corner. Anyway, it's a time, that sort of thing's never going to happen again, right?
Yeah, that sounds very dark, to be honest.
It was not responsible service of alcohol. It was not responsible service. So apart from the kegs, you said you're working in bars as well.
Yes, I'm still doing my sort of weekend stints, like the odd weeknight when needed, down in the Marcus Ward in Belfast. It would be a bar with a bit of connection with ourselves, but you have some really good chefs making some fantastic foods. Nice, big, spacious bar. Chance to sort of play by with your own drinks and interact with customers, obviously with your mask and table service. So, and it allows me to step back into bartending in a casual role rather than the management side of it without stepping out altogether. So, it's
nice.
Pretty perfect, really.
So you get the benefit of actually like working in a bar and getting that like guest interaction, but without having to be a manager and do the shitty paperworky stuff.
Hanging over tables, flirting with there's other line of customers at the bar, like so. Yeah, it's
Now, I'm sorry I'm getting a bit distracted, but we just got a comment through saying that you can't see the live feed on Facebook. But what I'm seeing, it's showing that it is working. So what I'm going to do is I am going to do a backup live feed onto my personal so that when we have a break for a minute, we can share that.
Okay.
I mean,
I can see it going on YouTube, all right.
Are you able to see it on Facebook?
I can see the event, but it says the live video hasn't started.
Ah, see, it says for me it has.
Facebook hates you, though.
Facebook hates me. Ah, look. Yeah, there it is.
Got it now.
It wouldn't accept my text describing the event. Whatever, man. It was showing that it was live on Facebook that whole time. Remember at the beginning, I was like, they're seeing this because it's showing? Everything's a nightmare. Everything's a nightmare.
Everybody's saying it now. All you missed was a little bit of talk about Dundalk. So, I mean...
Well, reminiscing about times gone by. I wouldn't say better times. I would say different times. But yeah, for anyone that's just now joining the feed, you can watch the beginning on YouTube if you like, but we talked about Dundalk, the fact that I definitely don't sound like I come from Dundalk. I do get the added benefit of being able to walk down the street and introduce myself as whatever I want, because it is a small town, Dundalk, so everybody knows you. And I got to work in some of the nicer pubs and nightclubs in Dundalk. And in fact, I still go back. So it's 20 years since I worked in the Windsor. And I still go back to the Windsor every time I'm in Dundalk, or as often as I possibly can. And they do amazing food. It's a very clean, very well-run bar. And I think his name's Donal. The guy that was the manager of the Windsor when I was there 20 years ago is still there. Yeah. And he remembers me. But he doesn't make a deal of, like, I didn't go there for 10 years. And then I went back in and he's like, "Oh, Dean, you're back. Oh, what are you up to?" And I'm like, "Dude, you're not more excited that I'm like back in?" Nope.
What did you do to remember you 10 years later? Like, there has to be something there.
Oh man. Okay. So obviously they didn't get many bartenders that were like tanned, sounded Australian, and done as much dumb shit as I did. They still talk about me flicking things around. Because the thing is, I'd pick up a pint glass, right? And instead of like picking up a pint glass and like pouring a pint, I would like pick up a pint glass. I'd pick them up like that and I'd polish everything. And, I'd be moving things around constantly. I was hyperactive. And there were a few events that happened. For example, people called the pub and asked me to put a bet on. Sounds like a perfectly normal thing, except I thought they were taking the piss out of me. Oh yeah, I'll put £100, and this is punt before the euro came in. I'll put £100 on, what horse was it again? Very funny. Didn't put the money on. Yeah. So then when I think it was Donal, one of the management come in and I was like, any calls, anything? Yeah, someone called asking me to put a bet on the horses, and he was like, "Did you put the bet on?" And I hadn't. Fortunately for us, the horse didn't win.
Thank God.
So old mate came in with the money, and I don't think they told him, because I think it would have been even worse.
Yeah.
I think they just got him drinks on the house and like somehow gave it back to him. But like, it would have been worse if the bet had never been put on and they didn't take the money, because the trust would have been lost.
He never would have pissed. He never would have pissed. I'd have heard your accent.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So and so it was one of those pubs where you've got an off license in the corner, and from behind the bar, you walk from behind the bar and you go into the off license, and you're behind the counter in the off license, right? And then you turn you turn a corner and there's an old man's kind of bar, and then you went through the bar and there was like another section with like two walled off sections where people sat and they had a television, and old men used to come in and drink pints of Guinness and pints of Cashels, I think it was, like cider, and watch soap operas, which I never understood. You know, like just go home. But then again, I now understand you don't have pints of Guinness at home.
You're making me miss the bars so much more than I already did.
And in the front you'd have like a lounge area. And I used to walk around and be like, "You right there, folks, whenever you're ready, please." You know, and like, but I wouldn't say it once every 10 minutes or so. I'd say it like once every 30 seconds until people were like, "Who the fuck is that guy?" You know? And then I'd be like, "Have you got no homes to go to?" And I'd come up with all these stupid things like, you know, just take a holiday, finish that last pint, you know, and just all sorts of stupid stuff.
All right, so, folks, that's time, please.
Yeah. I miss that, actually. I miss it a lot. But those are some of the best bartending days of my life. And making Irish coffees. I was good at making Irish coffees. I took it very seriously. I kept replacing the coffee that was sat there. And what else was it? Martini. Have you ever had people ask for like a martini, like, was it martini and lemonade?
Oh yeah, like they just meant like martini.
So, or like, I'll have a martini on the rocks and stuff like that. Like, we had a lot of people that drank martini on the rocks, but I thought it was a martini on the rocks coming from cocktail bartending.
No, I want martini.
Yeah, so I would make a martini on the rocks and give it to them the first 2 times, I think. Yeah. Yeah, they weren't fans of throwing stuff out either. Like, wastage was not a thing, so. Good times. So, so the bar you're working in on the weekends, is it a cocktail bar? Is it a pub or?
Yeah, it's a pretty easy-going, laid-back place. Sort of predominantly cocktail-driven. A couple of really good chefs working on it too. Just talk about different stuff every week. The food's amazing. But yeah, just really laid-back, easy-going team. They sort of, most of the guys have like events backgrounds too. So, nice big spacious bar. It's just sort of the environment you want to be in. Like, however we pull the weight, you get to interact with customers, you have to play around with your own drinks, and the house pretty solid too. So, rocking is just Saturday night is pretty good.
And is there a good percentage of cocktails consumed, or is like what would the split be between cocktails and other?
It's one of them bars that you're like 50% cocktails or more.
Yeah, nice.
Heavy that way, like, so it's nice. Especially considering,
I worked in Dublin, 2001, 2002 sort of thing, and I worked in a few bars down there. And when I used to travel up to Belfast to buy booze, because in those days we couldn't get. What's that?
People still do that. I've got a couple of accounts down the border, like as you're coming to Louth, like Jonesborough and stuff. Like there's an off license there, first to last. And honest to God, it's nothing but southern registrations. And, like the whole mile driving up to it, it's just you see signs of like the price for a litre bottle of Jameson and stuff, and it's just people in the dock and border coming up for it because it's so much cheaper.
Well, I used to get the train up, but it wasn't just the cost. It was also that in those days they wouldn't import things that were over a certain ABV. So, for example, like I drank Booker's. You know, Booker's bourbon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a bottle here. Yeah. So Booker's, this one's obviously not as high as it used to be, but it's 64.5% ABV, which you couldn't get in Dublin. So I would get the train up to Belfast and then buy a bunch of booze and bring it back with me. And every time I went up to the bars, the bars in Belfast had like they weren't as crowded like the nice cocktail bars, and the music and there was a beautiful synergy between the lighting, the music, and the drinks. Every time I'd sit down and like be like, oh. It's like, this is nice, because at the time you went to a club and the music was amazing, Yeah. You went to a cocktail bar and there would be smaller. There was 4 Dame Lane that I used to work at, and the music got repetitive, if that makes sense. It wasn't like, I guess it didn't speak to me, but the music would be like, Seb Fontaine or like Digweed or Sasha, like really slow progressive house music, which I don't dislike, But when I went up north, there'd be bars that were playing like funk and soul music and stuff like that, and still had that beautiful sound system and nice feel about them, if that makes sense. So that was my favorite thing. That they'd hit the balance really nicely.
You're saying that, and like straight coming to mind is Liquor XXX down the Dublin Road up in Belfast. Like just this real nice like red lighting, deep sort of carpets, Latin spirit bar, and as soon as you go into it, it's like the real sort of fun sort of music playing the speakers, but really well blended into the whole thing. Like you're still hearing into my table service, but the music's there. Same as Freight up Lisburn Road there, the restaurant too. So sounds right.
You're still able to hear me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got me?
Have the general public lost you?
No. I just did something that was stopping a looping sound that I could hear. It can be really difficult because obviously I can't do audio because then I wouldn't be able to. If I speak. Yeah. So I've done something that's kind of taken away a loop, but it could sometimes block my. Sorry to do that. I don't mean to like exit it, but if we're watching it in hindsight and actually the whole time we can hear an echo, it starts to build. It starts to drive you absolutely crazy. So speaking of which, right, I'm going to put a hold. I'm going to play Mitch's Minute for a minute. I think my head is starting to come back and my stomach is starting to stop rumbling.
You're going to be sick.
Now that I think the Guinness has fixed it. I think Guinness has definitely fixed it.
You're playing Mitch's Minute to go throw up outside. That's fine.
No, I'm not. I'm actually playing Mitch's Minute so I can double check that we've got the audio right and then move all the hot sauces out of here and set up ice so that you can teach me a cocktail. Because actually, you what?
I'm going to get a beer while we do that, so that works out well for me too.
This works perfectly. So before we go, what ingredients are we going to need?
Okay, so we're going to do a Charlie Chaplin.
Okay.
It's an old drink from like the 20s from the Waldorf Astoria. Essentially equal parts slow gin, apricot brandy, and I think it was initially lemon. I'm going to suggest we do like a lemon lime half and half split if you can, and I'm going to say if you can use the Boatyard slow boat gin, up it to like 1.5 ounces. Feeling that blend along the gin's amazing for it too.
I think the only thing I might struggle on is apricot brandy. But let me have a look. We've got a whole minute, okay? All right, we'll play Mitch's Minute now.
Dude, do you remember when I told you about when Karen was away and the dog and I got really drunk and I sat on the toilet seat wrong and I broke it and I slid and I got wedged between the toilet and the wall? Yeah, well, I finally changed the toilet seat. It's a fucking nightmare. It's like one of the hardest things to do. I couldn't believe changing toilet seats is impossibly hard. Like the screws like all the way up and it's got this plastic bolt that just breaks all the time and I ended up having to saw them off. It was absolute nightmare. Anyway, Bloody Marys are a shit version of a red snapper, which is again really good. There's a really fine line, but yet a polar difference between a really good red snapper and then just like spicy pasta sauce with ice. And I'd rather take a michelada over both of them. But again, you've got to get it right. It's such a hard drink to get right and such an easy drink to fuck up.
All right, so I'm back. I'm still looking for the apricot brandy. I haven't even set up the ice. But I don't think I have apricot brandy. So I'm kind of like, how come I don't have apricot brandy? Why don't I have apricot brandy? It's like, how many you've just pointed out that I don't have apricot brandy. I should definitely have it. Also, the lights aren't on. Like, right. So I've got peach, if that helps.
What kind of peach you got?
It's like a creme de pêche. It's going to be way too sweet.
Oh, is that the Gifford stuff?
No, it's this is a small batch. It's very brandy forward. It's kind of like, I got it from a wine shop where this French guy imports loads of French wine, but this stuff is really good. Like, it makes things taste nice.
What slow gin have you got to work with?
I've got the best slow gin ever. I've got Boatyard slow gin.
Oh, fantastic!
So if we want, so if we want to, we can bring this down, and you can just we can just work something out together on the spot.
See, to be honest with you, with so normally I would always do equal parts in the Charlie Chaplin, but like with the Grandois slow gin, equal parts is lovely. But with Boatyard, I would up that to 1.5 ounces of the slow gin versus an ounce the apricot brandy, ounce of citrus. So I think the Boatyard will hold us up well enough that you could run with an ounce of the pesh and still get a taste of drink.
All right.
We give that a go.
Well, yeah, we'll call it a Charlie Chaplin number 2. Like, you can do a real Charlie Chaplin. I'll do like a lockdown, like Charlie Chaplin for people that don't have all the ingredients at home. You know, take the base of a Charlie Chaplin and then like play around with it. Put what you've got.
It was a Scottish friend of mine, a guy Tom Pinson from Edinburgh, actually introduced me to the drink, and it's because of him that I still do the split citrus in it. But Tom always did a really cool thing with this drink too. Like, served it up in a highball, lengthened it out with soda water, occasionally a little splash of prosecco too. And honestly, it was such a drink, like a Charlie Chaplin highball, Charlie Chaplin on stilts, whatever way you want to call it. But
so he put it into a highball, no ice, and added soda to it.
Shook it up over ice, strained that in a highball over ice, and then just lengthened it with a bit of soda water. Yeah, and honestly,
yeah, that sounds nice.
And it was a really nice way to get people who weren't really used to drinking sort of like stirred, boozy or spirit-forward cocktails. People like, it's only one like Sex on the Beach, like sweet, fruity, sort of fizzy drinks. You didn't want to do like something really trashy, so that was a stepping stone to get people onto them.
I have to ask you, man, how many times have you actually been asked for Sex on the Beach?
Enough to the point that the last part was running up and me, Missy Jones and Port Stewart, like us guys used to laugh at each other. But there's one guy who loved making them. And like, he was reaching for the Boatyard vodka, the gift for creme de peche. He was like going all out, like, you know what? I am going to make Sex on the Beach for them. I'm going to make the best one they've ever had in their lives. Fuck it, they're getting it.
Yeah. That's the right attitude to have.
His name was Shane, so it was Sex on the Beach Shane. And to the point where like, anytime one off the rest of the team, like, we'd ran around the bar, like, Shane, orders up, come on, big man. They're here for your famous Sex on the Beach.
Ooh. Funny thing is, this doesn't taste sweet at all. So what would you normally do with this now? I've got 1.5 ounces of this, an ounce of the the pêche de vin, and then an ounce of lemon.
Just a real nice good shake, because again, the drink itself will be sort of quite viscous, so you want to give a good hard shake, get as much dilution in there as you can, and then just serve that straight up.
And we're doing it. What glass are we putting it in?
Well, I've got a little Nick and Nora here, but Nick and Nora or Coop, whatever you fancy.
Okay.
Oh, you're going to much nice.
I could feel my shirt riding up as I was doing that, and I was like, what am I thinking? I'm gonna sometime soon start producing my own t-shirts for the show.
Long fit.
Oh, yeah. Oversized and stretchy. For as I get bigger, they'll still fit me. Right.
So yeah, I'm not going to bother garnishing mine because, I mean, we're both drinking at home here. We used to have this as a menu drink back in that bar. We did a really cool thing, like we got an image of Charlie Chaplin, like a real old school looking one, and but printed them out on the card and like, put serrated edge scissors around it as if they got a little stamp, just like a little peg with the Charlie Chaplin stamp inside. It was
nice. Very
tacky,
cool.
but people loved it.
No, I love that sort of stuff. I used to have a garnish where you know those little pegs that you get, the little tiny ones.
Yeah.
Have you seen the blackboard pegs?
Ooh, I don't think I have.
So it's a peg, but it's a tiny blackboard, right? So you can get a chalk pen and write on it. And I'd write like stupid shit, and that would be the garnish, right?
You were definitely writing your phone number, weren't you?
No. Surprisingly, I'm a very shy guy. I don't be doing that sort of stuff. No, and also I was married. Well, I was dating someone that I would marry very soon, you know. So I was already taken. But cheers to that. Oh, so I can taste the peach.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, I really need to get some apricot brandy. Because I want to taste what you're tasting, and this holds up really well.
Man, it's fantastic. Everything
It's like drinking fresh fruit.
Everything is great down there.
Have you been?
To Boatyard?
Yeah, you live much closer than I do.
Well, it's about like a 2-hour drive away. Actually, the bar that I was
I
talking
see.
about, me and Jones, that whenever we did this drink and get sex on the beach, going everywhere. We were the first bartender group that Kieran ever took down for a tour around the distillery. It's like had us out in the Marble Arch Caves. Like probably shouldn't be saying that part, but like down in the cave, like old Potchin still. Back up, did our tour around the distillery. Us guys were like, "Fuck it, we're going to jump on the lock here." It was right on Loch Earn. We all jumped in the lock, swam by for a bit. As we came back out, Kieran was standing there with he had made 4 Vesper martinis for us with their vodka and the gin. So like he's seen it from Robert Shindy. Four bartenders at the end of the year, like soaking wet, cutting knees from jumping off the edge. There was no like handrail at the time, holding their Vespers up. And I think before the next bartender tour after that one, they had to get like a little ladder installed, and he had to do like a lifeguard course.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so you guys very politely pointed out a potential safety risk.
Guinea pigs, completely.
You know, that's. I used to hang out with a bunch of kids that would go and steal things from shops, and they would shoplift. And I tried to convince them that instead of shoplifting, they should point out to all the shops the security issues that they have as consultants. I thought it was a great idea. They didn't. They weren't interested.
Didn't take your advice.
Nope.
you
Fortunately, I was waiting for one of them to get caught and go to jail, and then I'd be like, "Told you so," but it never happened. So not that I wanted it to happen to them necessarily, but like it wasn't my jam. I didn't believe in that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But you know, they could have pointed that out instead of just doing the wrong thing. I had a job though, so they didn't.
Yeah.
You know. This is delicious, man. And do you like, what sort of cocktails are your favorite sort of drinks to make? All right, because I feel like maybe I've gotten too old to change my ways. But when I first started bartending, all the drinks were like Long Island iced teas and blended strawberry daiquiris, and I made a mega ton of a drink called a Toblerone, which was vodka, Kahlua, Baileys, loads of cream, and then you would put honey and chocolate sauce. But you'd take a hurricane glass and you'd pour honey into it, and you'd pour chocolate sauce into it, and it'd make squiggles inside. And then you'd pour the blended creamy drink in, and it had honey and chocolate in it. And then you put bits of broken chocolate. Man, like, you know what? If you got it right, it was kind of pleasant for the first couple of sips. Yeah. But then it was alcoholic cream slushy. But the what happened was stick drinks came in where I was. So caipirinhas, caipiroskas, and they just, because people switched to spirit and citrus, they just killed off the creamy crap that people were drinking.
Creamy sweet stuff.
But I'm a bit more conscious. Like, how long have you been bartending? I'm not making a wild assumption that you're younger than me, but I actually am.
Yeah, well, what age am I? 26? That's weird, bad that I think about that. But I'm 26. I've been doing it for about 10 years now. First bar I started, I was pretty tall, looked a little bit older, and started as a bar back. It was it was a really cool bar down Bryson Smartfeld. You had like a little front bar, little fire pit, a little fire started, but had maybe would have sat about 10, 12 people, but they would have like pushed 30 or 40 in there, like every Sunday, every Saturday night. Best Guinness in town, and you had the lounge restaurant downstairs, nightclub up top, little smoking area, like a little rooftop smoking area, and the smallest cocktail bar.
It sounds awesome.
You had 3 stools in front of the bar, and I remember like I started there like 16, and I used to do 2 for 1 cocktails every Saturday night, and I remember it's like bar back in there, everybody was giving all my attention to those guys. You need me to crush some ice for you? What do you need? Like, so why are you doing the mint or the lime that way? Just really took an interest into it, and the 2 guys were doing it part of the time, good enough to sort of explain, take time to teach and show me stuff.
Yeah.
Whenever they left, I got to progress up into their shoes within a couple of months. It was kind of cool that way.
Yeah, very nice.
16 got slaughtered with like a real busy bar in the middle of town, doing 2 for 1 on a Saturday night in a tiniest little cockpit of a bar. So.
And what sort of drinks were they?
Oh, I mean, there's one I still remember. It was the menu was all Bacardi Brown Foreman at the time. So like there was one when I remember when I first released Bacardi Raz.
Okay. Well, that sounds like the same sort of start I had, like the flavored vodkas.
Yeah, there's like Bacardi
but
Raz.
Obviously flavored rum. I'm not saying Bacardi is a vodka. I'm not saying that.
Some lemon juice like squeezed over like in a jam jar, obviously. Squeezed directly into the jam jar, a teaspoon of raspberry jam, some apple juice, fucking your crushed ice, stick a lid on, shake it up, lid off, bang, straws, lemon, there you go. And yeah, so it was that sort of thing. But funny because you said Caprisca's there. Caprisca was on that menu, and I remember like there was one drink that I struggled for about 2 or 3 weeks to get right because I realized afterwards the bartenders told me like you've been doing it right the whole time, but people aren't used to this. It's 2010.
Yep. People
aren't used to this. This is a pretty new drink for us. It's different taste wise compared to the times used to. So you're not doing it wrong every time. You've been doing it right, but people just don't know what to expect. It's the first time.
It might be a bit too boozy for them. Like
but it's funny. I actually had a woman from down home was drinking in Belfast recently, and she asked me like, I know you know your drinks. Where in Belfast could I get really nice Caprisca? I was what? She's like, oh well, I'm an airline stewardess. Like, so you know, I'm used to having nice bars and nice drinks in different countries, but I can never find a good one in Belfast. So
wow.
Yeah. Then she came down to the bar I was working on that day, and I totally misread her message and started serving her caipirinhas instead.
How did that go?
She loved them, so I mean, it could have went long. I was really red. She was delighted.
So what I was trying to get at was, what are your favorite types of drinks to make, right? So for me, I worked at Milk and Honey for a while, but before that, having come from creamy disco drinks, and classics started to kind of take over, and every bar that was worth a pinch of salt was not necessarily doing speakeasy, but definitely doing prohibition drinks, post-prohibition drinks, classics, you know. So it was at a time in 2003, 2004, when everyone was just starting to talk to each other like more openly over the internet, and there was a lot being shared, and classics were king. And I still can't move away from my passion for classics, you know. And you obviously, when given the option to teach me a drink, taught me a classic. So that's why I wanted to ask, like, what are your favorite types of cocktails to make? Like, would you prefer making new drinks all the time and the menu kind of constantly evolves every couple of months, or are you do you like honing a drink over, years of making the same thing?
Fuck, without sounding totally like odd and cliche on it, I like taking the little twists on the classics because again, you go back to like the roots of it all. You have your classics, the formulas often like the foundations have been there. Like the people got it right 100 years ago, so we've always been evolving and working from that. But it's a matter like without sort of categorizing it that much, the drinks I like to make are the ones that take people who aren't really cocktail drinkers or they've been set and drinking one drink for years and giving them that's find out what they like, what sort of style they go for, what they don't like, and taking them a stepping stone, just like one step out of their comfort zone. And like if you hit it right the first time, fuck it, you're here for the night. 3-4 more steps, and you went from you only drink frozen strawberry daiquiris to there's a painkiller, and you're loving it. So it just changes people's perception. The drinks that can do that, there's fantastic ones that way.
I absolutely love your response to that question because you didn't respond with I like making caipirinhas or I like making pina coladas. You responded with I like making drinks that take my guests on a journey of discovery, which is just. And you didn't say a cliched like, I like taking my guests on a journey of discovery. You kind of went, I like the drinks for this reason and got to that point, which you're either...
Yeah, well, it makes sense. Like, if you've got people who like... I suppose, when I lived up in the north coast of the north here, like, I've seen it so much. You have people who drank, like different flavoured frozen daiquiris all their lives, and, like, that's all any of the bars offer. And then, like, the first menu went up there, managed to put a decent team together, but, like, just simple stuff like an 1800 coconut margarita. Did like a sort of penicillin twist with black bush with like different honey syrup and stuff, and called it a paracetamol. But like and the Charlie Chaplin things they got there, like things they had. People were like had a laugh at them. They tried one drink off the menu. They knew it was good. They trusted us. Then once we asked the right questions, the whole team did the questions up. Like, what do you normally go for? Allergies, intolerances, likes, dislikes. How's your day going, that sort of stuff, and like let the bartender choose and like walk in the right direction. So those are the guests that that came to the bar once, had a great time. They're coming back. We're building clientele, but also those people are remembering that night and the fact that cocktails are more than some guy who doesn't want to make them throw into their mojito really badly. Like that's not what the cocktail is. This is people that actually care about it. Let's go back there.
Yeah, 100%. Such a perfect answer. I honestly like. When all this lockdown is over, I want to come visit your bar, because obviously, like as you can imagine, I haven't been home for over a year, and when I say home, I mean home to visit my family in Ireland. I've been here in this home, but I go back on a regular. So next time I'm, Dundalk's not very far from Belfast. Are you actually living in Belfast at the moment? You said you were up north of the north, like beyond the wall.
Yeah, I was living up the north coast, but I've been back in Belfast for about a year now. Again, living with a little girl from Dundalk, so yeah, it's not far at all.
I'll have to come up and visit, definitely, and you can take me on a journey of discovery. It'll be amazing. I'm the best at classic twists. I love classic twists. Like so, the penicillin, like the penicillin.
Yeah. So is this like a flash frozen penicillin or something?
Oh. It's penicillin slushy. It's the best thing ever. So like it's so easy. It'll be the summertime penicillin. Winning every time. And everything else. So for me, my favorite things are classics that have been twisted with a pun. So like or a reference to some sort of film or something. So a sidecar named Desire is like my favorite sidecar twist, which is actually, funnily enough, a sidecar with ginger syrup in it, right? Which is more or less a brandy penicillin. Like, it's like around the same flavor profile. So yeah, loads of fun to be had. I'm just going to check, so we've got people clapping and we've got some, it's now live on Facebook, not live on Facebook. We're here, we're live. No, so the echo has been fixed. So and apparently I didn't, so there's one comment saying the echo has been fixed, which meant there was an echo. It wasn't just in my head. I'm not seeing any other comments. I don't know if there are any other comments. We've got hello from Brazil, but that's all really nice. Considering that didn't really go up on time, I'll promote this afterwards though. And in fairness, I definitely want to come visit your bar. What was your bar called again?
The Marcus Ward. I'm only sort of moonlighting the weekends now, thanks to the cocktail keg thing. But
you're still there.
Still there. The last year of like not having a bar to go to 5-6 times a week is been killer. It's absolutely annoyed me.
And when do you guys come out of lockdown? Like, is it the same as I want to say the rest of the UK. It pains me to say that. But how does it work?
Mate, honestly, we're not even sure yet. Like, I know, like, again, with my job, I'm dealing with different bars off licenses and hotels every week, and like most of them are starting to gear up now, and they're looking to re-employ new staff and train people up, and started looking at ordering and stock taking. But I don't know. There's no real set date for it. So
wow. Okay.
Living in hope.
Because I think like I know a few bars in London. It's April 12th.
Yeah, for outdoor spaces, isn't it?
I guess it must be. I'm actually for my own sanity. I haven't looked at the news for about 2 months.
I'm pretty sure it's for outdoor only, because I know I had a woman from Leeds or Nottingham on the phone to me for work today, looking to see if we could get over and like install like a draft cocktail system for a beer garden in time for the 12th. So
you'd be travelling over to the UK or to Leeds?
No. So the UK thing's pretty new for us. We've all just done our bottled bottles, 250 ml cans, and like 5 litre kegs for over there so far. We're working on like a bag and box solution, but we've had talks with a few different breweries for engineer team to do our installs and maintenance over there for us.
Yeah, nice.
There's about 150 different bars in the UK that are on a waiting list to get the product, which is kind of crazy. Yeah.
Wow.
A little bit mad.
That's huge. Yeah. So wait, so how are you? What kegs are you using? How are you supplying the kegs? Did I ask this? Was it corny kegs?
Yeah. I think it was the start back when we were mute, but like we cocktail keg. I mean, we're using 20 litre kegs and going through like little under counter multi-serve chillers and gas pressurized stuff. But the difference is what we do is our drinks are like fresh, proper cocktails. Like the purees we're using, we're sourcing from different countries, like fresh from farms and stuff. They're pretty much all fruit. Instead of using acids, we're using like our own Irish developed citrus. We're working with a little orchard over in County Armagh, and we found a way for like natural Irish citrus, which adds a really nice like flavour to the drink as well.
Very cool.
Like premium spirits, we've got the likes of like Blackwood, Cuervo, 1800, and Blua, the Diageo brands, like all behind us, like with their logos in the bottles too. So
super cool. Well, you'll have to come here as well when you come over.
I'm gonna have to send you some like this stuff to sit on that bar, just like over your shoulder.
Yeah, man, I can do that. But this, you know the house, like there's taps here. So see this, like you can't see them from there. Hold on. If I cut to this.
Audio.
And how do I get? Here we go. So bam, right? Mm-hmm. Again. So let me see. So see there. Yeah. These three are taps. So that's Negroni, that's Aperol Spritz, and then this one is water. And then underneath I've got Cornelius kegs. And on the Negroni, I've got like a little air compressor.
Yeah.
So for the Negroni tap, I've got a little tiny air compressor that's used for like airbrushing. Yeah. So I set the PSI on it, and when it needs it, you just hear it go in the corner. And then the Aperol Spritz is actually hooked up to a SodaStream canister, because I used to have a big gas tank under there, but what's that?
Like a Sure-Mix sort of canister?
No, like a SodaStream canister, like the 60 litre ones.
Yeah, little narrow tubes. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're it takes up less space, and I can just actually like unclick it and then click the next one back in. And if I need a gas tank, I order it on Amazon. It comes by 10 p.m.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like a little home kit. But
So you've got Negroni, Aperol Spritz, and Guinness all on tap over there.
yep. And then there's water that's got.
Your bar.
What's that?
You aren't visiting my bar. I'm visiting yours.
Well, the good thing is, like, these taps have been here since 2015. So like I had like cocktails on tap before like anyone else I knew had cocktails on tap. I was like rigging it up from homebrew kit and stuff.
Yeah.
So I've got like a history of all the upgrades I've done over the years to get it to a stage.
How long
where it
is a
is.
keg of Negroni lasting you?
It depends. Well, it used to be a weekend or two, maybe, but like I've got the Cannonball kegs. Have you seen the 1.75 gallon keg?
I don't
It's
think I
like-
have.
I'm not going to pull it out now, but I can send you a photo. I've got like a 1.7 gallon, like 3 liter, I think it is, Cornelius keg. And then I've got like one that's like that big. And basically like I've got 2 of the smallest kegs you can get. I've got right up to 75 liter corny kegs as well, but I've got like little tiny baby kegs. So we did an Aperol Spritz once with Veuve Le Grand Dame, and like made like a pimpin' Aperol Spritz, and it had like champagne and stuff in it, and it was just for fun, really. But yeah,
Just usually.
and you might be interested as well. I've got you'd love this. I've got a tap that is Mannequin Peace, the little statue in Belgium that pees.
Yes.
It's like a famous little boy peeing. So I've got a replica of that stands on a wooden plinth, and inside the plinth is an ice box that's the shape of the plinth. You put a keg inside it, you cover it with ice, and then it's got a gas tank in it, and it runs up, and you press the on, and he starts peeing, and you press off, and he stops peeing, and it runs like all night long. So for weddings and stuff like that, we did a wedding where two friends got married, and this like statue was in the garden amongst all the like garden stuff, and it looked like just an ornament. But when you went up to it and did this, it started peeing a cocktail. It's pretty cool.
That belongs in the bar that did free DP. That should literally be at the door.
Oh my God! We've come all the way back to bar 58X. You're better than Billy Connolly.
Just subliminally put it in there. You need a drink when you get in the door, but you also need a piss. Go.
That's actually pretty epic. Oh, do you know what I wanted to do? I wanted to like do a pop-up when we were still under lockdown, but there was a set time and everything where we put hand sanitizer in, and it just run consistently, and you wash your hands on liquid hand sanitizer. But I mean, never got round to it. Anyway, man.
Don't touch the little boy. It's hygienic. It's hygienic.
This is actually good for your skin. Look, I'll tell you what, man. It's been an hour now. Thank you so much for joining me, and I love that your response to the question, "What's your favorite cocktail to make?" was actually the best response I could have ever imagined getting from someone. That's going to live with me, I think, because that like it goes further than to talk about which drinks you like, but to go into what the ethos of bartending is, and it's escapism and experience and people interacting with each other, whether it's in a place over drinks, if they're not even there to drink, because it was irrelevant whether or not there was a certain base in that drink or what it was. It was about taking people on an experience, which is really cool.
Whoever's shaking the drink isn't the person drinking it. So for us to have a favorite style of drink to make, I get that, but no, it's the customer drinking it, so it's whatever is their category.
That's awesome. All right, look, I'm going to wrap up the show. Thank you so much for being an amazing guest, and I'm going to do my best to get over to Belfast to come visit you. I'll make sure I've got a weekend to spend there so we can catch up and I'll bring all my photos of my old school, like dodgy home cocktail tap setups and stuff, so you can giggle at it and tell me what I've done right or wrong.
We'll sit down, we'll have some pints of harp, and we'll compare our draft.
Yeah. Can you get harp in Belfast?
Yes. I'm
Okay.
pretty sure I have a harp t-shirt sitting to my left here somewhere. But I'm not
Game on.
right.
All right, I'm in.
We're
All right,
there.
thank you so much, man.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate that, and adios.
My pleasure.